Hi, I'm Joshua Griffin, the head of the Interactive Media Programme, and I'd like to talk a little bit about our bachelors. So we have the Bachelor in Interactive Media. That's the animation and games pathways. So in the animation pathway, we have several different courses and topics. These can range from character animation, so that's the sort of bulk of the course, moving things, making things come to life. Modeling and texturing, creating assets. Storyboarding, storytelling. There's a heavy element of telling a story, how to construct story through visuals. Shot design and compositing and VFX, sort of more the post-production, so once you've finished all those elements of how to make it look good on screen. Rigging and technical animation, and rendering, the more techie aspects of creating animations. We also have our games pathway, so gameplay design, game mechanics, how a game actually functions, the rules of the game, even if it's a board game or something that's more like a video game. Modeling, much like animation, we have to make assets, 3D elements. Digital sculpting, texturing, lighting in our games, but also lighting for visual purposes, but also for communication purposes too. We have coding, so we teach a little bit of how to create games and how to create the back end of games. Play and game theory, so that you are making something that potentially matters or that plays well based on certain rule sets and certain theories. And UI and UX design, creating that element that you can interact and communicate with your players so that they understand how to play. So the game and animation course, or the program, features both shared and individual courses over the 3 years of study. So the animation and the game students will all collaborate on shared courses. So in the year one, we have the problem-based learning course, creating a case study. We have form and context, our leap into teaching 3D. Narrative, creating a narrative, but that might be more interactive than you might expect. And then Studio One, where we get together in groups and we create something that's a little bit more sculpting based. Year two, we move into editing, so creating your show reel. Conceptualization, where we bring in some industry partners to give us some live projects. And Studio Two, where we do a little bit more writing, but then also start to create some element of a project from that. In year three, all of the courses are shared between animation and games. So design for interactivity, procedural animation, industry studies to find out more about the industry that you're going to be then in, and the final bachelor project, a project you get to choose and dictate. So the animation courses that are specific to animation are in year one and year two. So 3D rigging one, creating elements, creating assets. Animation one, learning how to animate, the 12 principles of animation. And animation craft, learning more about storyboarding and how to tell a story through visuals. Year two, we move into rigging bodies, so creating skeletal frames that can move. Post-production, we'll look a little bit at how to render, and we're actually looking a little bit more towards things like Unreal or game engines. And then animation 2 and 3 build upon animation 1 in terms of giving you time to explore, trying to make things move. Animation's quite a long journey in order to learn. Games, we start with gameplay. So much like other degrees, we start with board games, trying to strip away the mechanical or the technical elements and work on just mechanics. Game Assets 1 and level design, we look at more 3D game engines, creating elements for them and manipulating them. And then in year 2, we start making games. So in Game Assets 2, Technical Direction, and Game Assets 3, they're all about making games with a different focus. And then Ludic Studies is the theory of why we're making games, that we can then implement that into the games that we're making. So a normal week for first years might look like a Monday 9 AM lecture for an hour, and then you go into the lab afterwards for 2 or 3 hours for some more practical support. It might be a workshop, it could be time to work, and it could be some feedback. Afterwards, it's free time, so you continue your studies or do something else. Tuesday and Wednesday, we'd likely repeat for different courses. So in total, you'll have 3 different courses at the same time, potentially 2, but then 3 sessions. Each course will either be a whole semester long, so that's around 15 weeks, or half, so between 7 and 8 weeks for those. Thursday and Friday for the first years are free study days to work on your projects. So when graduating from animation, your job titles might include animator, so being able to just pick up a rig, animate it, make it come to life, depending on what the storyboard is dictating or what the story might be. A rigging artist, or technical animator as it could be called, creating the rigs inside the body in order to make those effectively move. Concept artist, storyboard or layout artist, that's all in pre-production, so creating the visuals and the story. Or a render wrangler, of creating the render pipeline effectively in post, so how to render out these different frames for animation. And there's lots of different industries. It's not purely film. So film, TV and web, but also games, health and e-learning. There's mobile applications to animate for as well. And then engineering, military, and a lot of other animations, a lot of other industries that you can go into. And then graduating from games, you could be looking at games designer. It's quite a loose title. Or environment artist or character artist, creating assets. Level designer or a game developer. And then again, the industries vary. You could be looking at AAA or indie studios or mobile gaming. Could be looking at board games and tabletop. Or e-learning, and again, engineering, military. There's lots of different industries out there that you can apply these skills to. So, admissions. We always appreciate those with a passion. We want people who want to be here and want to learn. So creating, drawing, telling stories, that's really the thing that will separate you from the others that apply. So driving to make what we've got animated work or games is needed. These fields demand a lot of work and knowledge. We want people to really burn for the knowledge and the learning rather than just attempting to get through. Qualifications, so 3 years of upper secondary education or a vocational education certificate. You might also apply for admissions for prior learning. And the course is taught in English. We have a lot of international lecturers here, so you may require an IELTS 5 or higher. And then afterwards, further studies. With an interactive bachelor degree, students can apply to higher education, so art and design or technical studies. So these might be masters in digital arts, animation or games. This could be via an MA, so a master's, MSc, Master of Science, or an MRes, Master by Research. Okay, and I think it's time we have a look at some of the student work that we've produced. So first, animation. Great, and that's the animation work we've done so far. And because we have 2 degrees, now for the games. Okay, great. And now on to some of the questions on the stream. What is the background and experience of the faculty teaching in interactive media programs? Well, our staff are quite varied. We've had some on more indie careers, some that have started their own companies, some that have worked with, for example, Ubisoft in, I think it was Montreal, and more academic, more practical. So we have quite a varied experience from different elements of both games and animation. We've either been instructed in one or the other and have been teaching on average for around about 10 years each. And are there opportunities for real-world projects, internships or collaborations with businesses? Absolutely. So we have at least one program that we already have a consistent interaction with other companies. So animation and games get their own companies to come in, pitch us projects, and then we get to work with them for that whole course. We also have lots of different projects that come in on a sort of frequent basis that we might end up changing some of the courses in order to try and hit those companies and what they want. We also have some internships, but they're not completely static. So we do offer them, and we have one running at the moment, and we might have some coming up in the future as well. Another one, what tools and software will I get hands-on experience with during the course? So we use lots of different games engines. We use Unreal and Unity. We specifically teach in Unity. We also teach Maya to learn 3D modeling. We look at ZBrush and Substance Painter, but that's just a sort of handful of the larger things that we look at. There's also the Adobe suite. We look at some other tiny little apps which are quite useful too. Super. Any more questions? How do you ensure that the program remains adaptable to changes in technology and industry trends? I like it. So we have a look at what's happening, and we get the ability to adjust every year, or even kind of just before we start running a course, as to what that content might be. And often that's what the industry actually demands, is that they come in and ask for a certain project. We might work towards that with you as students. And what is the student life like on campus? And what's it like living in Kristiansand? Kristiansand is quite a small city. However, it's kind of got everything. It's incredibly safe. It's very picturesque. It's very easy to get around. I'd say it's definitely worth the move. I absolutely love it here. I used to work in London for a long time, where it was pretty much the opposite of Kristiansand. It was too busy. But yeah, super here. What background or skills do students typically need to possess before enrolling in the program? Well, you don't really need anything, because we teach from the ground up some element of potential drawing or potential coding, being able to write. There's some element of writing in the course because it is a degree. That's really all that we need. We don't look at your drawings either. If you've not drawn prior, you don't have to. We teach that when you come on. It's really just a passion for it, for not playing games but wanting to create them, or not just watching animation but wanting to actually make things move. You say something about Online Plus. How does that work? Yeah, super. So Online Plus is currently our model both in Oslo and in Bergen. We're looking at getting students in that can effectively be an online student but have access to our tools and kit on a specific campus. So if you live close to Oslo or Bergen, you're able to use that campus, pop in. We might hold a workshop or get some industry events in there. But effectively, it's an online study where you've got access to a space that you can all share. Super. Any more questions? Fantastic. I think that's pretty much it then. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope this was interesting for you, and that I'll be seeing you soon on our games or animation pathways.